Recording in progress.
Right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Kingston Planning Board. Today is July 22nd. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston. Before we begin the meeting, I just want to go over a couple of quick announcements. If you do have a cell phone, I'm just going to ask you to please silence the cell phone so that it doesn't interrupt the meeting. If we do have an emergency, we ask that you do not use the elevator, please use the stairs. If you need assistance, just ask us. The bathrooms are out the door through the chambers. Men's would be to the left once you get through the second set of doors on the other side, women's to the right. If you have a conversation, you need to have a conversation, I just ask that you take it outside of this room, please. You can use the chambers, or on the other side, there is another conference room as well that you can use. So with that, I'm going to begin. I just want to also let people know that we are live streaming and the meeting is being recorded. So please watch your language. And with that, we will start the meeting at 6:02, and I'm going to introduce Wayne Platt, who is our chairperson, and he will introduce other staff and members of the board.
Thank you, Sue. Welcome, everybody. Introductions of board members. My name is Wayne Platt. We also have Charles Polacco, Robert Jacobson, Matt Gillis, Vince Archer, Sage Newkirk, and Kyra Grundig. We've met Suzanne Cahill, our planning director. Kyla D-Day is the assistant planner. Matthew Jankowski is the city's assistant corporation counsel, and we also have Kingston Fire Chief Chris Wright with us as well. Moving on to item number 1 is the adoption of the June 17th, 2024 planning board meeting minutes. Everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at them. Is there any questions, deletions, additions on them at this time? So at this time, I'll make a motion that we adopt them. Do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Could you sign up first? Pen?
All right, we're moving into public hearings. Item number 2 is number 5 and 21 Lincoln Street, lot line deletion of the lands of John and Maisie Polacco. Section block and lot is 48.74-4-10 and 11. Super determination, transect zone T3N, it's in Ward 7. John and Maisie Polacco are the applicants and owners. Is there anybody besides the applicant owners wishing to speak on item number 2? Okay. All right, you want to come up with that front of the table up here? Oh, maybe, yeah. Do we have another, do we have a second chair?
You know what? Don't use those. Don't use those.
Yeah, that's so like 2, 1, 2, 3.
I sit like. All right. Just make a note that that Charles Polacco is abstaining because of family members, family relationship. And welcome. Can you state your names for the record, please?
John Polacco.
Okay. All right, so why don't you tell us what your plans are here? We're on Lincoln Street.
I'd like to build a garage right here.
Okay,
Personal use garage.
So just a little bit of background, that is their house. This is a separate lot, which had a house and I believe a garage on it.
Yes, the house was here, there was a garage back here.
And they were in poor condition, so they purchased the adjoining lot and they demolished the structures. So there's no longer any structures on this vacant parcel. And they had been to the zoning board of appeals, but it was determined that a variance was not the appropriate route. So they're looking now to delete the lot line, combine the parcels, which would allow them to then erect the garage, which would be accessory structure to the existing home, which you see right there. Lincoln Street is a dead end at this point. Under the code, we talked with them about a couple of options. This was their first, this was the first that they wanted to do would be to combine the parcels. Another option would be to create a flag lot, which would, Kyla actually spoke with them earlier today about that as a potential option, or to go for a special use permit. Since they had this application in, they chose to pursue this application first. This application also requires them to obtain a major waiver. In this particular transit zone, the lot width cannot exceed 100 feet. So each of these parcels is 100 feet. So because they would be doubling that width, they are required to go for a major waiver, which used to be what an area variance would be, but now it's, because it's a dimensional aspect, it is a waiver. So that's a little bit of history, where we're at. No, did you ask, I didn't want to speak.
I did.
Okay.
So why can't we put a garage on that second lot?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the garage is proposed to be in the rear corner. It's a 40 by 50 structure. Multiple bays would be accessed using the existing, presuming the existing curb cut.
Yes. This way.
Right.
What's that?
I don't have any issue with this. I mean, it's less density, it's at the end of a dead end street. Unless you know traffic. Or seeing issues. Never had an issue in parking lots.
I don't see anything wrong with doing this.
No issue for me.
Vince?
I'm good with it.
And as well. So we would come back, we're gonna deal with item number 5 now.
Let's also talk with Ben about the major waiver at the same time, because obviously they go hand in hand. That is item number 5, it's a major waiver. They're separated on the agenda because one is a public hearing and the other is not. So you can, I know you've had the notes since Friday. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read through the staff notes there.
Is there anything that jumps out that would preclude us from granting a major waiver?
You will need to issue a finding, so you will have to establish reasoning.
Well, as it was previously stated just now, that, yeah. We're looking at it as whether or not it would detract from the neighborhood granting this waiver. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, one of the issues that you would have to make a determination would be what the impact to the neighborhood would be, if this would be detrimental to the neighborhood. You want to look at the intent really of the maximum lot size is to encourage density. and limit underutilized large lots. So you just look at the neighboring parcels of land. Is this a deviation of such a nature that it would not be in continuity with the adjoining properties?
Can you bring up the tax map?
Yeah, can we see a larger map? Do you want?
Just a tax map and parcel viewer, just to see what the neighborhood, the general dimensions of the adjoining property.
I will say the property does have some slopes in the inland portions and limited road access.
That's what I'm thinking, I just want to see what the
Okay,
neighborhood
yeah.
properties are. and then I think
It's
that-
like, it already is tiered to limit runoff and erosion.
Do you want to see it here?
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm personally comfortable doing the major waiver based on the fact that it is at the end of the dead end street, it's hard to get in and out of. You have, the tiered slope with erosion, this is minimal disturbance area for the existing lot that's being combined. And this lot also borders, Kyle, if you can just go back to the other map. Yeah. It borders 48.74-4-12. We also have 48.82-7-6, which are all contiguous lots. And then up above that, Kyle, behind them, you can just scroll down a little bit. You've got 48.74-4-14.200.
Which is the water tower.
Which is the water tower, and you also have all large lots that are contiguous and surround this property, so I'm okay with the major waiver. I don't see where it's a detriment to the neighborhood on a very short dead end street.
Should we be reading number 5 into the record now too? Should we be reading item 5 into the record as well right now?
Yes.
All right. As I had mentioned before, we are into new business now with this same property. Item number 5 is 5 and 21 Lincoln Street. There's a major waiver request for exceeding the maximum lot size in the T3N transect zone. Section block and lot is 48.74-4-10 and 11. Secret determination, transect zone T3N, Ward 7. John and Maisie Polacco are the applicant owners, and John and Maisie are here as well for this item. No, I echo Robert's sentiment on this, especially with the fact that it's on a dead-end street. I don't think it's going to adversely affect the neighborhood by combining the lots and allowing a garage to be put on here. Matt?
Well, losing that lot line and combining them, that would then make them about the same size as all of the others in that area.
That's what I was thinking. This one and this one is just as big,
Yeah,
Yep.
the contiguous ones.
And so is 7-6, and then
and this is the water tower, and this is all one person's right here. And then this big piece right here.
What do you think, Kyra? That big piece is a big piece.
I agree, and I also, no one has come forward and said that they have a problem with it. This is a public forum, so I don't have a problem with it at all.
Right.
Our neighbor did ask if they needed to come tonight, and we were just like, I don't think so. So, they don't have a problem with it. They just keep watching
This is
the
a
progress
too.
of us trying to beautify it, clean it up from what it was.
We will note that under this code, the new code also, they could put another, residential unit on the property, even on, if it's one parcel. Another structure could be built. It would have to be built, obviously, closer to the street, more or less in proximity where the older home sat. So it wouldn't prohibit adding density. The garage can be used for an ADU. So there are options to incorporate density into the project, even with the combination of the parcels.
Vince?
Don't have a problem with it. Is that, that's Merck catching for everything?
Yes,
The big
yeah.
piece up there.
Yeah, we're,
Ketchikan Drive and all this is his.
we put up to them and, the Hoffmans.
I have no issue. I mean,
Was it on the other
the
side?
outlying parcels are either the same size
Who bought that
regardless.
property,
Here?
you know, up top,
Oh,
Oh,
up
the other
here.
side of Merck.
down,
On the
yeah,
other
on the
side.
right, no, on the right here,
One of these?
yeah,
Okay.
somewhere in there.
All right, so we seem to be inclined to be okay with that. What do you want to do first? Do you want to do the lot line deletion, or do you want to?
I would do the major waiver first, because that allows you to do the lot line deletion.
Okay.
Need to reach your findings.
Oh, we might take a seeker here, so let's
Yeah.
see here. So we don't have to have, there's no further review of the board for this, right?
Right, just.
Yeah, so under type two, under seeker, this is a type two action, so it's considered, with no further review of the board is required at this time for that. So go ahead and make a motion.
Now, I would just say we approve item number 5 for the major waiver based on the.
But you need to state your findings for the record.
Did we just all do that though in our discussion here? Is that?
But we have to say this for your decision, you discussed them.
Okay. All right, so the finding, so Robert has a motion to approve item number 5, and the findings are, it's at the end of a dead-end street. There's minimal disturbance to properties with a garage. It's 40 by 50 feet. There are contiguous large parcels in the immediate vicinity. No detriment to the neighborhood. It's a tiered parcel with slopes. What was the last part?
No
I'm sorry.
prevention of further density.
And you can still increase density with
Okay.
options.
All right,
So it's motion.
that is a motion. Is there a second on that? Second by Vince Archer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Now we'll go back to the lot line deletion, okay? Thank you, sir.
Seeker?
Yeah. All right. So under seeker, this is also a type 2 action. We're back to item number 2. So no further review of the board is required for this. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 2. We have a standard list of
Resultant parcel description must be submitted for final review, 5 paper copies of the Mylar, for signature after the owner has signed off, and board policy 6.
Okay, Robert Jacobson with a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, folks, thank you.
Thank
you. Okay,
So then we just contact Mr. Sal, right? And it's tonight?
I'm sorry.
Yes, just let Chris know that you were
Oh,
approved and he'll finalize the maps and the
Thanks,
Mylar,
Chris.
so just send it down to him for signature.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
You send Chuck back in?
Okay. Okay, so
Oh, I'm sorry.
what's the second?
So you're signature.
All right, still under public hearings. Item number 3 is 84 Home Street. Special permit renewal for an artist space, section block and lot is 56.42-7-15. Secret determination, transect zone T4 and Ward 9. Home Space LLC is the applicant owner. Anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 3?
That's me.
Okay, come on up.
All right.
All right, Chuck Palato's back in the mix here. Welcome back. Okay, can you state your name for the record, please?
Matt Quinn.
All right. So the previous special permit was for a neighborhood store and grocery, but the business was never operational and the special permit expired. So are we treating this as a new application or is this a renewal?
Yeah, after that,
Yeah, after that, it became artist.
Okay,
space.
all right, that's okay. There we go.
So this
and
is
then
just-
it transitioned
Okay. I should have
owners
flipped the page
again.
on that.
And now, right, now we
Okay.
have another. But artist space is still the,
Is this just artist space for yourself, or do you have an outside public coming and going?
It's just for myself. I mean, some people come in from time to time, other artists that are picking stuff up with me.
What kind of things do you do? Are they loud things, quiet things?
I mean,
You paint, you?
it's art fabrication, some furniture and architectural model and primary stuff.
Well, they do have some sewing going on there, so you have some.
It's inside, it's not,
Yeah.
no
Routers.
fire, or flames, or?
There's no fire or flames. We skipped that part. And I'm the proud new owner of an inspected fire extinguisher. So,
Nice. And what, any general hours of operation, or just whenever
no, it's just whatever. I mean,
you live on the property?
I live on the property. There's no particular hours. I would say that's
Gotcha, whenever you're
very
inspired.
rarely, I don't like to, I don't use anything heavy after, so.
I have no issue, it's just
yeah,
straightforward.
yeah.
Any other questions from the board? All right, so, last term was for how long?
Keep coming.
The last one was, I believe, maybe 3 years.
Okay,
But because there's a new owner, we recommended 5.
okay. Everybody's giving a 5-year term for this one?
Yeah.
All right, and then if there's a new owner, that person has to come back for,
Okay,
start that whole renewal process over again, but,
I certainly hope that not be the case.
yeah, that's cool, that's cool. All right, under seeker, this is also type 2, so no further review of the board is required for that. This time I'll make a motion that we approve item number 3 for a period of 5 years with all original conditions carried forward and,
Renewal with new owner. If the ownership changes, renew it.
okay.
And board policy 6, 10, 11, and 19.
That is a motion, do I have a second? Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Great,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Old business, item 4 is 73-75 Furnace Street. Special permit renewal to operate a 4-room boarding house. Section block lot is 56.92-4-42. Secret determination transect zone T4N-O. It's in Ward 4. Lyndon Peters is the applicant owner. Anybody here representing the property? No?
We'll come back to this application at the end.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll come back to this at the end. We have some, they discussed with it, so.
David Turner?
All right, under new business, we already took care of item number 5, so now we're moving to item number 6, 75 Broadway. Stand by. It's a site plan to increase the number of residential units from 4 to 5, and to change the use of 2 spaces from storage to commercial.
You're not stating.
Section block and lot is 56.43 -4-37, secret determination, transect zone T5MS, it's in Ward 8, 69-75 Broadway LLC is the applicant owner. Welcome, folks. Can you state your names for the record, please?
Christopher Saheki.
Dustin Pearson?
Welcome. All right. right, so tell us what your plans are. We're probably gonna have some pictures show up behind you on the screen.
All right, so there's some changes to the building.
Okay,
This was brought on by recent fire safety inspection.
Okay.
The fire inspector said we needed a change of use for the two spaces, but then once we started to look at the drawings, which were filed with the building department in 2017, I think, we realized that the third space also applies too, so we're going to take care of the third space at the same time. So two of the spaces are existing, they were existing, well, the whole building is commercial. The residences are on the upper floors. It's on the hillside, so, the Post Street side is, so this is Broadway here, this is Post Street. We're speaking of this space on the Broadway level, this space here and this space here. This is formerly wholesale storage, and there's a commercial store there now called Folk House Collective. This was an office, and since COVID, we've been living there and working there.
So just explain with the commercial space, how that access is achieved.
Through this commercial space?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a big barn door on Broadway and it was an old carriage house. So there's a pass through here, and this is an open courtyard to the sky right here. And so, this is, direct access to the exterior and out to the street from this space.
There's also a secondary exit.
And there's a second exit through here, up a fire stair and out to Post
To the
Street.
back. Okay.
In terms of this space, there's direct access from the outside in through these doors. There's a second access here either through the courtyard or through the main hallway of the Broadway part of the building.
What's the courtyard area used as? Just like is it open?
It's done like a garden, right? Like a paved garden.
Okay. Nice, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you go to this next floor? I can show you the next floor up.
Sorry, it takes a while.
but some of this space wasn't used like for I remember, I think I played mini golf in there during the Nutcracker Open. Was that?
Before our time. We've owned the building since 2005, so.
Okay,
As far as what I know, it was,
okay.
so here we are here. So this is, the building kind of divides into two separate structures at this, this is only one story, so this is up on the next level. So off of the street here, off of Post Street, enter off of a loading dock into this big open workspace, which has an office and a bathroom. And over on the Broadway side, these were the old existing apartments. And then if you go up to the second floor from Post Street, these were two apartments that were added in 2017 with the roof terraces over the top of this space here.
And those are all accessed off of Post.
Right, through this stairwell here. Yeah. So we filed this work in 2017. Everything was built out. There's been no changes to the building itself. It's just about how we're using it. And this, to go back to the apartment, that's our own apartment. We're living there.
Yes,
In an existing commercial.
correct. Yeah, there's commercial tenancy change, but then the apartment would have been commercially used, right, prior to.
It was
your
artist, and then it became,
residency.
when we filed it as, and it became stores at that point, once the work was finished.
So we're keeping the commercial space on the Broadway side.
One of them, one becomes an apartment, ground floor apartment.
So what happens to the storefront glass? Like how does that?
That does not change, that stays unchanged.
So when I look at the main entrance, to the right is going to be your apartment?
No, if you're looking at the main facade, there's a driveway here
Yeah.
and a patio, and then the entrance is, behind off the side.
So when I look at the glass in the front of the building, that's gonna be your.
No, that's Dave's stores.
That's the
This is a store and a store. We're on a level up right now.
Front of the building stays a store.
Yeah, this does not change.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't have any issue with that.
There are a couple of things I just want to go over with you. One is that when you go from the 4 to the 5, you're going to be triggering a handicap or ADA compliance. All right, so there's an accessibility question and also an
That commercial
adaptability.
space meets that requirement.
So what the building department is going to want to see is a code compliance
Okay,
review by your design professional
okay,
to confirm that you either meet that or you are seeking some kind of an exemption, all
okay.
right? With that said, if you don't meet the exemption criteria, and you do have to do some alterations to make the accessibility or that adaptability
Mhm.
aspect of happen, you would have to come back to the planning board. So
Okay.
one of our recommendations would be that the approval, any approval, if the board decides to approve, and I think they're in that direction, be conditional on that design professional review,
Mhm.
confirming either your compliance,
Right.
or looking for the exemption.
Okay.
And if you do not comply, you can't meet the criteria for exemption, and you have to make alterations, then you would have to come back to the board. Otherwise, you would not, all
Okay.
right? So that's one issue I wanted to go over with you. Another issue is that in the city of Kingston, when you exceed 4 units, there is a payment in lieu of parkland fee. And it's a per unit assessment that this board assigns to your project. The maximum amount is $3,000 for the unit, it's a one-time fee. We did at staff level send all the projects that we knew were going to be discussing this matter with to Parks and Rec. However, they did not have a quorum, so they could not issue a formal recommendation back to us. What we have done in the past is we've issued the full assessed fee. If the Parks and Rec feels otherwise after the fact, then we would adjust the fee.
And this is a
back to
one-time
adjust.
fee?
It's a one-time fee, yes. And the first 4 units are exempt by law.
Uh-huh.
So the 5th unit is what's triggering it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's another issue I want to speak about. A couple other things. Open space. When there is a property that exceeds 5,000 square feet,
Right.
which this one does.
Yeah.
There is a requirement in the new code to define usable open space. 10% has to be usable open space. So you do have your courtyard area,
Mhm.
and I know that you have some green space.
This is
around-
all
Right.
green space here,
Right.
and this is
So we
parking here.
So we would just need your design professional to
Okay.
confirm the
We're-
10%.
Dorothy's a registered architect, so we're
Okay,
doing our.
so we just need her just to give us the confirmation that that meets 10%. It also, there's private open space as well, and that your courtyard will probably cover that. The open space has to be minimum of 10 by 10.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
measurements, so we'll ask that you submit that, and staff can confirm that that exists. There is the question about the dumpster. Is that existing, is that an
It
existing?
is, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
we do need to screen that
So-
dumpster?
Would you accept, like, I don't know if you can see this very well, would you accept like a fence across the front here? like that?
The only issue with putting fence along the street
Uh-huh.
is you're limited to a 4-foot height.
Okay,
Okay, and I don't know.
that's like 4'2", I just mentioned.
Build it down to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing with, street side fences.
Uh-huh.
They are only allowed to be 4 feet, so that might be an issue.
So, yeah,
You could do plantings,
okay,
maybe some, evergreen that would, type.
something
evergreen
dense there that would, yeah.
Yeah, and push back a little.
Okay.
I think that might be a little bit
All
better.
right. It's very tricky for a truck to get in.
Right,
Because Post Street is narrow and they can't back straight, they can't turn enough to back in. So
right.
that's why it's at an angle like that and not further
Okay.
back in the lot.
So it's not on a pad, it's just on gravel?
It's on gravel,
Okay.
on wheels. It's been there 15 years.
Okay.
But then that's tenant parking there's tenant parking, and that's my access to my workspace.
Okay. Yeah, so we just need to figure out,
That can be done on staff level.
and the screen would actually work, evergreen screening would actually work as a required screen anyway
Uh-huh.
for your
Okay,
green space and rear area. It could double. So we will work with you on that.
okay.
And last, there is a requirement, again, for handicap parking space. Obviously, no one's going to enforce it, but you'll need to just assign a parking space,
Okay,
handicap.
all right.
Otherwise, unless there's one on the street along Broadway that's in close proximity, and I don't know that there is.
It's across Broadway, it's on the other side of Broadway.
Yeah, it would have to be kind of on your side, because you have
There
the
aren't
the
any.
barrier there in the middle, that
Yeah.
would not.
There
suitable.
are, no, there
So we'd have to do that, and, you do need, because you exceed 4 units, bike parking, some place for people to just hook up a bike. I know you have posts there, whatever, but you just have to assign a space for
Where they can
bicycles
like a
to lock up.
bicycle,
Yeah.
okay.
And then just one last question on this apartment, because the entrance as you're looking at the building was on the left, on the side.
Yes,
You own the land? to the
yes,
building?
yes. The building stops and the lot extends. Where's that map?
I was just gonna pull up the front view.
That's-
Yeah,
So you own to the left.
right. So the lot starts here.
Yeah.
And then it extends to where that tree is, so about over to here. So 2 parking spaces wide to the left of the building.
And those are used for tenants too?
Hey, what, excuse me?
Those are
Yes.
used for tenants too?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So you can put your bike parking or handicap there as well,
Right.
whatever you see fit.
So they have a lot down below and they have this lot here, right?
It's one lot.
One lot, but it's.
No, but I mean, they have the
Yes,
one.
yes, parking area.
Two parking.
2 parking areas.
The handicap parking goes for public?
No, it's for you. It's on your land.
Okay.
It's on your land, it's your.
Yeah.
It just has to be
If
designated.
You
if
can put a sign up and then you can park in it if you so choose.
Okay.
One accessible unit, one handicap spot. Or if you don't have a handicap tenant, then clearly,
Right.
it's just there just in case.
Right.
Okay.
We need to provide it, yeah.
Right.
I understand. Okay.
So, yeah. One.
Yeah, we're gonna ask for a Knox box on there too. It's, are you familiar with them?
No.
It's a box that allows fire department to gain access. You put the building's keys in it. They have.
Oh, we have one for the post office, is that the same thing?
No, no, it's, if for after hours, instead of doing damage to get into the building, they can access this door. It's a box, pretty substantial. Then you put your keys in it, unlock it, I say we, fire department. And, Yeah, so they'll.
So we need a separate one. Would you want two, one for each street or?
I think, well, you want one for each side?
I'm curious now what the address is. What are the
The addresses are 75 Broadway and 32 Post Street. So it's two legal addresses, even though it's one
One on
lot.
the front, one on the back.
Yeah, okay.
So you said, so the keys they need for the back apartments that service Post Street?
Right.
Would be a set, so
Right.
they
So
show up.
on the back and then the ones from the front.
Same thing.
And there are hundreds of these boxes in Kingston that, without fail, are perfect for what you got going on, so. Yeah. Okay.
Is there, just curious where they have to be mounted, by the front door? Or on the side of the building there?
You,
In the vestibule or?
you can call us, we'll come out.
Okay.
Pick a spot.
Okay, all right,
That's all, we'll call us when it's done and we'll come in and
yeah.
put the keys in there and we'll lock it and you do, the fire department is the only department that has
Okay,
the key to that box.
okay.
Okay.
Any other questions on the board? Anything else?
No, I'm just. A seeker.
Yeah, so we already acknowledged the $3,000 fee, right?
Well, it's part of,
Okay,
part of this.
okay. All right, under seeker, this is this unlisted?
This is on the.
Okay, so I had before me a short environmental assessment form that staff indicates is in order. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second on that? Second by Chuck Palacco. All in favor, Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palacco? Robert Jacobson?
Yes.
Matt Gillis?
Yes.
Vince Archer?
Yes.
That is adopted. Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 6, and Sue has a laundry list of policies and conditions here.
Want me to read
Well,
it?
yeah, because sometimes it's like reading, no, it's like reading a prescription. I know.
6, 19, and 25. And then the conditions will be to confirm the usable open space area, both location and dimensionally, so that it conforms with the code. They'll assign bike parking for 2 spaces. They'll dedicate a handicap parking space. Their design professional will submit code compliance for handicap ADA compliance with accessibility and adaptability. Or they will return if they need to make other repairs or improvements. The recreation fee of $3,000 will be assessed for the 5th unit unless the Recreation Commission recommends otherwise. That they will provide a method for screening the dumpster off of Post Street in the rear. And it'll also serve as the street screen requirement.
Okay,
And that's on staff level.
the screening.
Screening's on staff level.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, do I have a second on that? Second by Chuck Palacco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. So could we contact your office for a copy of the zone?
Yeah, you'll get an email decision, like you got a notification for the meeting, it'll have everything in it, and then if you have questions, yeah, certainly call us.
All right,
Okay.
all right, thank you all.
Thank you, folks. All right, still in a new business. Item number 7 is number 21 in parens 27 Henry Street. It's a site plan to increase the number of residential units from 4 to 5. Section block lot is 56.109-1-18.100. Secret determination, transect zone T4N-O, Ward 4, 21-27 Henry Street LLC is the applicant. Hello,
Hello, good evening, good evening.
state your names for the record, please.
John Steinmeier. Jonathan.
Okay. So this is the row house just in off of Broadway, right? What's your, tell us what your plans are.
So the proposal here is to add another unit. There's 4 existing units. We're taking some vacant space in the lower level and fitting it out to an additional 1-bedroom unit.
One or two?
I think that's a 1-bedroom.
Just one.
It's a one bedroom unit, yeah.
Oh, no, like a two-bedroom unit, one
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
one dwelling unit additional, 1 bedrooms, right?
Right, okay, right,
Okay.
that's what I thought, okay.
So other than some interior partitions, there's not a lot of changes to the building. The access stair off Broadway is pre-existing. The entrance door is pre-existing. I'm sorry, off Henry Street. And there's a rear access door and stairs as well, so we're taking out an interior staircase to separate this from the unit above it.
Whereabouts in the building is this gonna happen?
It's all, and you're facing the building, it's all the way on the left side,
Okay,
lower level.
okay.
Yeah.
Basement, right?
Right in here, right behind that.
Okay.
And that space is used right now for, it's used in
Vacant.
conjunction with the unit above, or, but, so they no longer have that space. So pretty much following the same discussion that we just had with the Lower Broadway. John, we're just gonna need you to look at the building and the code for the ADA accessibility or provide the documentation to meet the criteria for the exemption on access and adaptability of this unit.
I think that pretty much falls under the
Okay.
technically infeasible. There's a technically
So-
infeasible clause in the code.
So, yes.
So we would
just
have
need
to take up the brand new sidewalk to provide handicap accessibility to, so.
Or, well, lift, but I guess, I don't know. So that, I mean, you look at the criteria, submit that to us, and we'll move
Okay.
forward with that. Same issue, bike parking, same kind of, consideration. In this particular case, there is no on-site parking, but you still have that handicap parking requirement under the new code. And anything over 4 units requires, and this makes this building a 5-unit structure. I don't know, I know they just redid this whole street. I don't know if there's any handicap parking in proximity to this structure on the street. If any was established, you'd have to look at that. If not, it's going to require going to the council asking for one to be dedicated on street.
So if the handicap access falls under technically infeasible, do we still need a
So that's
space?
a question for building then, yeah, I mean,
You don't own any land. You can't provide parking.
no, I know, but so it has to be on the street.
No, but they don't have any control of the street.
They have to go to the council. Under the new code, it requires
What?
buildings for 4.
What if the council says no? You can't develop property?
I-
It doesn't make
I don't
sense.
know if they would, but, it's in the new code. And
How does the code require something that can't be required? Or can't be? I mean, that's like requiring every building uptown Kingston to have a handicap spot. None of them own any land.
It reads,
Just go.
at least one accessible space shall be provided for all development with 4 or more units. If no on-site parking area is provided, required accessible parking may be located nearby on street or in a common parking lot. I don't, if there's something.
I'm sure my office will be advising.
Well, you have-
When they see.
Yeah.
But you also have on the Hodge Center, which is public park, and that is handicapped. That's only a couple doors down, right?
So that would be something that then.
The Hodge Center is not on the street.
On a different street, right, a different street.
Yeah. But I mean, there is a, the old bank parking lot, right next door. I don't know if they have a handicap parking space that they might,
That's not public.
but it can be in a common lot. They can make an agreement if they say that can be utilized by them, if they have a handicapped individual or if they have a handicapped guest or whatever.
So we'll just
It
make,
is
this
not
will be
a-
this will be a condition of approval.
It would be a condition, yes, yes.
I'm sure it'll happen, but,
So there's that, the open space is again the same issue here. In the rear, how much property, I'm not sure, I mean, there's a small amount of space. in the back.
There is a small
It's
amount
not,
of space.
Um,
I mean, the total depth of the lot is only 66 feet, so there's about maybe 10 feet.
okay,
So when you say 10%, it's 10% of the proposed unit? 10% of the entire building?
10% of the lot.
10% of the lot, okay. Not sure we're gonna make that, but we might.
If that back area is all, I mean,
It's open.
it's open. And again, so say we're doing this now, and say you chose to take one of the other townhouse, row house units and do a similar project, that 10% number doesn't change. So you're doing it now, so that would cover, you can add the other units under all the others. If you come back, that number isn't gonna increase, okay? That stays the same, that's a straight number.
So remind me, what was the answer to the question of if handicap accessibility to the building is not required? What happens to the parking space?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that right now.
But prior to coming here, I've submitted these to the building department already. My response to the building department is your plans are approved, but you need planning board approval. So that's an indication to me that handicap accessibility is not required from their perspective.
Well, I think first we need to determine whether or not the handicapped accessibility and adaptability are an exempt issue. Or if you're gonna be required to do something to modify the structure, then that's a code compliance. And it's not a zoning issue, but it is a building code issue.
Right,
And
well,
so
that's kind of what
what,
I'm
you know,
saying.
what
They
we've
were
been
pretty much told.
trying to do is work with the building department upfront at site plan and ask them, what do they see that could impact the site plan that's not in the zoning code? And this is one that they have just started to flag consistently on these projects.
Okay.
good question.
Something we're
I'm sure it's gonna come up again.
that it is.
So handicap in the street, anybody with a handicap can park. So it's really not just for the building. It's confusing.
It's impossible to enforce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for all that stuff and see where everything lands, right? I mean, that's where we are right now. So we can't answer that question tonight.
No, not for the handicap parking space, but the
Probably
other,
walk up down the street and see if you find one.
Right.
One on Broadway around the corner.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, there might be one nearby. I honestly don't know the street.
Problem solved.
I don't know,
Okay.
I mean, Broadway certainly has handicap parking along it, just how far away is that?
I'm guessing it would be near the corner because that's where the sidewalks and the handicap ramps are.
I
So
don't know.
I'm just saying that's where they should be.
What's an acceptable distance from the building? A mile?
Reasonable.
The closest building is where the
That's
bank used to be.
weird.
is that correct?
Keep going through the notes.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, is there one, like within that parking lot or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's private property.
So as we see,
She's saying
probably heard from
get
the,
some agreement with the owner. They could utilize the handicap spot there.
For his building.
for his building.
Yeah, we would have to have some sort of agreement between property owners on that. But that's a possibility, yes.
But so,
But to get to your point, this corner of this building, you know how far it is from Broadway? You know,
50 feet?
Yeah, maybe 75 feet.
it's the length of that parking lot.
Yeah, it's not far from the parking.
It's more than 50 feet.
Is there any bus stops around it? Is there any bus stops around the building?
I think on Broadway, back right in the corner.
Well, if it has handicapped access and pick up and drop off and handicapped public bus transportation.
Who ultimately has jurisdiction over this?
Then we're talking about what's a reasonable distance right now?
Yeah.
What about
if kind of state regulation pertaining to this, that would be something that the building department would have to see in the uniform code, if there is something pertaining to, you know, distances, require handicap spots from an entrance or a building, but there's nothing specific in ours that addresses that distance issue.
So if the building department says, whatever option they go with, whether they look for a spot in front or they're looking for another spot around the corner or down the street, that decision lies with the building department, right? Right. So there's your answer, the building, they can.
Yeah, so it goes back to, I think what John was saying, so if buildings has already approved this.
Then it might be a moot point with that, so just, you know, with the parking issue, so. All right,
So is the parking being left to build, how's it being left to building?
that's what the law that says, it's being left to building department, that's, they can make that determination.
Is there any way of like converting one of the spots on the street to handicap?
Yeah, it would have to go through the council though.
Yeah.
Based on what.
That would go for the council.
Is there, I believe there might be an easement in the back where the Chico's is. Could we designate part of that easement towards,
So, okay, so you do have the easement across the rear, from that back street, right?
Yes.
Is
Yeah, I
that
have the
easement or is it a?
We have 4 parking spots in
Right here.
that.
Oh, so why don't you just dedicate one of those and?
So you already have 4 parking spots.
we don't use them right now.
Van
because
Dusen Street?
No, just dedicated, you say.
It's off of Van Dusen.
So you say that one of those is gonna be handicapped, that you just
Okay, all right.
show that's, and that would cover it.
Just don't take
And if you
the.
don't have a handicap tenant, then it's a moot point,
Yeah.
so you just have to be able to say you
Okay,
have.
yeah, no, I have the document, but it's not on the survey, so, but yeah,
So
we
then
could
just get us the document that you have the
take a
right,
state,
yeah,
It's on the deed.
that's.
or it's
that's
on, it's on the
okay.
deed, okay,
Right.
thank God I remember that.
Problem solved.
Rec fee, you're increasing from 4 to 5, so that's gonna trigger, that $3,000, raising in concurrence with that on the board here. And again, we'll ship that off to, well, we already have shipped
It
it off to.
is, it'll
rec
be on our
department,
next
so
meeting, yeah.
if they feel differently, if they want it less, then they'll make that determination, so.
They never do.
Yeah.
Can't imagine they would. You probably already talked to staff about refuse, those areas, where was that?
We did.
I see pictures here. so I
But
thought
this
that was-
is, we talked about this last time, that it's being an issue because the code didn't address this, right? We had another applicant that was trying to do this.
That was the new construction down on Gerald Street, similar style row house type building. It was, they talked about putting it in the back, but they talked about underneath the stairs. If there was, those totes are not supposed to be visible from the street view, okay, legally. And so adding the additional unit triggers the compliance with that. So there are, you can screen them, and Kyla came up with a couple of examples that she found on the web, and put them in the staff notes, or I don't know what kind of space availability, if any, exists underneath the staircases, but there would. So I think that, I believe they're all wood, correct?
What's that?
Stairs.
The stairs.
Oh, the areaway? Yes, yes, the stairs.
Yeah, so that might prohibit them by code because of
storage.
the wood material, because of the fire, issue. So, I don't know, if you- Vince, can you just share the picture that is in our Sage? We just came up with a couple of, simple designs that might be, a way to, just screen the totes from the street view. And as we just found, like Kyla found them on the internet as just some simple options.
Now, can they store those coats in the back and go out and use them?
They could. If they've got, yeah, I mean, I'm presuming.
That's a lot of totes, that section of their news now.
I mean, but your code's telling you can't have them in the front. Pick your poison.
Well, I mean, I don't know, do all of the units have access to the rear?
There's
No.
one unit that doesn't,
No,
just one that doesn't.
so yeah, most of the people probably exit their units to Henry Street side, so. I mean, I think if they're screened, I don't, fine with me, if they're back, because they're still be on the property.
Okay.
So you can stick them behind the building, and then you can screen.
Is this something that can be handled on a staff level to
Yeah.
that screening portion?
Yeah.
Okay, that would be, we're gonna
Build some
discuss this again, so. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
All right,
People in the backyard.
Yeah, he is, John is going to just look at that rear yard and we'll do a calculation. We'll work with John and staff level to determine the open space requirement, but I'm pretty sure they can meet that rear space. Technically, if they've got a lot in the back, you might be able to add some there.
It's probably about 15 feet deep from the back of the building to the rear of the
It
building,
looks-
the other
just gotta
building.
make sure you bring your right tape measure.
We'll work with you.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So under seeker, this is an unlisted action. Thank you. But have to fully ensure environmental assessment form that staff has indicated is in order. This time I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor, Wade Platt is a yes. Charles Delaco, Robert Jacobson,
Yes.
Matt Gillis,
Yes.
Vince Archer.
Yes.
Okay, that is carried. Your handwriting isn't that, your handwriting isn't that bad. So, thanks for that.
All right,
Okay, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 7.
You want the Knox box?
I think they already have an Knox
Do
box.
you have a Knox box on there?
We do.
You do, okay. Okay. So we're gonna go with board policy 6 and 19. Staff will work with the applicant or the representative to do refuse screening. There will be a recreation fee of $3,000 assessed for the additional 5th unit, unless the rec commission decides otherwise. Their design professional will provide to the planning office a statement on ADA accessibility or adaptability or the exemption criteria. If they do need to make any modifications, they will have to return back to the board. We will work with the applicant and the representative to define the usable open space and private space, per the code. For that compliance, they will need to provide, a space or accommodation for 2 bike parking spaces. And then the handicap parking space will be located on the adjacent lot that accesses off of Van Dusen. And they'll just submit the documentation to confirm that to staff.
Thank you. Do I have a second on that? Second by Chuck Palaco. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Right. Thank you, folks.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 8 is 114 Down Street, site plan to increase the number of residential units from 4 to 6. Section block lot is 48.334-1-2. Seeker determination, transit zone T4 and Ward 2. White Trim is the applicant for.
Sir, White Trim here.
All right,
Ashton Brothers.
okay, welcome, gentlemen. Our neighborhood. Okay. That's currently a 4-family, right? And,
Yeah.
so tell us what your plans are then.
So the plans is, since we have to do, I don't know those people hanging out on the pledge, but since we have to do some work on the building, there's the attic area up here that is pretty large. So we'd like to make use of it.
You can get two units up in there?
Yeah, 2 efficiencies.
Okay.
So does this have a common stairwell that goes through from the ground?
Correct. It doesn't, you're correct. It doesn't show the first floor, but anyway, the stairs located here on the 2nd floor would lead up to the attic. It goes up on the 2nd floor, turns, and then you go up into the attic where the
This is
2.
a firewall, if you recall the structure of the building, it's a firewall that runs basically from the basement all the way up through the attic space, so there's a staircase on both sides of that firewall. It doesn't, they don't interconnect.
So would there be, so when you hit the 2nd floor, is there a door and then stairs up to the apartment, or is the door at the top of the stairs?
There's a door on the top of the stairs, but on the 2nd floor, there is a door that in case there's a fire or whatever, there's another exit out on the other side, on the 114 or the vice
So you
versa.
can go between the 2 sides?
Correct, on the very top, correct.
So you have basically 2 sets of stairs.
Right.
Does this have to be sprinkled?
Yeah, I believe the 3rd floor, 3rd floor, there's an
Yes.
exit where it happens.
Yeah. He is aware of that.
Does that trigger just the 3rd floor being sprinkled or the whole building?
I know it's just the 3rd, is it just the 3rd floor?
It's the 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, just the 3rd.
And the exit.
And then the
Stairs.
staircases. Rated.
So same conversation we've had.
Yeah, you've been listening to some of the other.
We already have. I told him, he didn't remember.
Yeah, I didn't remember, but right across the street, council, I guess, he just stepped out, but there's a parking right across the street, doesn't, I guess, I don't know who owns it, but there is a parking spot right on the street, big sign, handicap parking, so I don't know.
So
if-
it's right across the street.
Right across the street. He didn't remember, I don't know. Good thing I came.
Charlie, you want to turn that camera?
I am, but this is from
Right there.
You went to.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's over on this side.
right there.
Should be in front of, yeah, right there.
Right there.
I can see it.
Okay, got it.
Check You got lucky.
I was over there sweating bullets, I'm like,
Well, they still have to do some handicap accessibility.
They'll still have to, provide that, certification for handicap accessibility or adaptability on the units, all right? So, And we had talked a little bit about that when you were in the office.
They got big backyards, right?
They did.
It's gonna be 10%.
Yeah, he's got,
Okay.
the open spaces covered here.
I used to mow that.
Yeah. And that rear that's your refuse in the rear?
Correct.
Yep, so it's in the back?
Yeah.
And the rec fees, that'll be two rec units, so that's 6,000 for that. Okay. And bike parking, you got that on there too?
I don't think he listed there, but we have plenty of spots. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the front, correct?
No.
Yes,
no,
plenty of
in the back.
space. We have plenty of
Yeah.
space. Designate that.
In the back.
We really must have thought about it now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got this one covered.
It's like watching somebody putt, you know, listen, look at the lead, the next one. You sink that next one, so, yeah.
A hole in one.
Yeah. Any questions from the board on this?
Nice project.
Anything else from staff?
No, we've got this one covered.
All right, so under seeker, this is also an unlisted action. I don't think we've had so many unlisted actions on here. Thank you. All right. Have to form me a short environmental assessment form. Staff has indicated is in order. At this time, I'll make a motion that we approve it. Second on that? Second by Vince Archer. All in favor, Wade Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco?
Yes.
Robert Jacobson?
Yes.
Matt Gillis?
Yes.
Vince Archer?
Yes.
That's carried.
You have a Knox box on this property?
Not currently, but we can.
Okay.
We can add that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a good idea too. All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 8. Who's got the laundry list?
Okay, so it would be board policies 6, 19, and 25. The board finds that the rear lawn area compliance is acceptable for compliance with the usable and private open space requirements. Their design professional will need to submit an ADA code compliance certification for the accessibility and or adaptability. Recreation fee of $6,000 is assessed for the 5th and 6th units unless the rec commission determines otherwise. They'll provide bicycle parking for 2 bikes in the rear. The 3rd floor will be sprinklered, and there is a handicap parking space that is recognized on the street directly across the bike.
Right, second on that motion? Second by Vince Archer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Good seeing you again. Thank you. Good luck, guys. Right,
Not for me, or not?
No. Take care. We're going to put the discussion, Turner Street's not here, so.
Yeah, we'll just move on straight at the very end then. Yeah, we'll do that at the end.
Okay. All right, yeah, good. Item number 9, we're in discussion now is 615 Broadway and 35 Cedar Street. Site plan to construct a mixed-use building with 7,000 square feet. Commercial space, 3,630 square feet of community open space, 70 residential units along with supporting infrastructure. Section block and lot is 56.109-3-16 and 56.109-3-42. Seeker determination, Transect Zone T5MS and T5N, Ward 4, Baxter Development Company LLC is the applicant. City of Kingston and Salvation Army are the owners. Okay, welcome back.
Thank
And
you.
state your names and record, please, again.
I'm Natalie Quinn with KARC.
I'm Colin Bryce with Mappers on today.
So as I mentioned, this is just discussion tonight because we're not going to make a determination. We have some questions and I'm sure you have some.
Yeah, I can
Things to
give a brief
discuss.
overview of the most, I apologize, I'm losing my voice, but I'll keep it quick. So we did another submission for the July meeting, so nothing about the project has changed from what we presented to you last time. We've just been building out that submission set to be more complete, so we now have a full site plan set with grading, soils, and erosion control, landscaping, lighting, all those sheets that you need for the additional materials, as well as a more detailed architectural set, as well as the required parking supply and demand strategy. So those were kind of, I guess the parking strategy was the new piece of information provided. Everything else was kind of just building out the project. So I can go over the project again if that's helpful in terms of the general overview, but I don't know if anybody. Okay, perfect. I think from there, I don't know if Colin, if you want to talk a little bit more about the architectural renderings that we went deeper on, or we can just go to questions.
Say let's go to questions. I think everybody kind of gets it.
I will say that, they have done a lot of work since last month, since they were before you last month, and they have submitted a lot of information. Internally, we have sent the newer plan set around to other city departments so that they can start, even though it's not a formal submission yet. We wanted to, allow them to start looking at this and getting us feedback for the applicants, sooner than later. So it went to the water department, engineering department, fire department, DPW, police department, housing. So it went to, a whole slew of individuals who are currently looking at it and reviewing it. We also had a Zoom call with the applicants, which was, I thought, very, very good. We went through a lot of, we were able to staff will do some quick cursory review of the new set of drawings. We went through a bunch of questions. We've developed some more staff notes, which we will in turn send to you. Obviously, one of the things was getting the Salvation Army's authorizations. Maybe you can just talk about that a little, where that is at in progress. I know you're meeting with them.
Yeah, we're meeting with them regularly. It is the US Army, so it takes a while to kind of get any official paperwork. But so we just met with them last week with Bartek, the housing director, as well as the property, the applicant. And so it is progressing forward. Right now, what we're working on is the letter of authorization has gone to their attorney to kind of tweak and draft how they want that language to be. And we are aiming to have that for our next submission for the September meeting. So that's one of the pieces included in there, but they still sound very open to it. It's a lot of just figuring out liability and the easement agreements. So it's taking time, but at the very least, we want to have from them at the next meeting, that kind of letter from them, so you guys can have that, knowing that they're giving their approval for us to be showing their personal.
The goal is right now to get the plan developed further along enough to deem it complete so that at the September meeting, as we talked about last month, it'll be a public hearing. And it'll kick off the actual formal review of the project application in front of you. But it's been a really good discussion going back and forth. I had emailed you today too about the Pauline Oliveros.
I get the email, I'm sorry. I haven't looked at my email.
The outdoor space?
Yeah, the outdoor, it's been, right now, it's got a formal little park designation. And I know when I was in a meeting this afternoon with the mayor and our arts and cultural affairs director, and we were talking about public art and that space came up. And I know that, the mayor indicated that you've been discussing, how you're gonna treat that outdoor courtyard area to respect that space, because the city still has some kind of an agreement in place, which I'm trying to get my hands on.
Yeah.
So that will be carried forward.
Yeah, so we've been, the city's been really helpful, Mayor Noble has been really helpful in helping us meet with the community, the arts community already that felt ownership over the plaza, so we met with them, I think, before our first planning board meeting. There's been a few discussions about how this could better foster art and kind of rotating showings of art, as well as, I think, a plaque noting the original intent of it and design, so that that's not lost. So that is very much being incorporated within the designs, and I think we can indicate that moving forward. I am, one of the pieces that you and I had talked about was kind of the plaza management, hours, operations, security. So I can try maybe within that letter, talk a little bit more about that space. Okay, yeah.
What about how the building looks coming on Henry Street towards Broadway? You got a rendering of the, and if we spin it around, like coming from Henry Street out to Broadway, what's that? I mean, we got, the mural looks good, but what do we do about?
You've got a gas station.
No, I know, there's a gas station.
Overlay
Gas
in there.
station isn't
I know, but they're moving.
gonna be dwarfed pretty much by that,
I understand, but it's,
I think.
when you're heading that way, you've got a gas
I
station.
mean, the mural softens it there, but is there something else that can be done for the building to the right of that, what?
With the next submission, we're dealing with that. I mean, it's a balance in that, totally get it. We want that to be an attractive facade, because it's a big facade, it's a very visible facade. But also it's the party line, the property line, so we can't have windows on that facade. Obviously trying to balance the budget, so we can't do anything too extravagant. But what we're thinking about is definitely part of the wall mural public arts program that maybe that could extend onto that other half. It's most likely gonna be a stucco facade on that, so we could, with the break lines, create a graphic design, using those, the building.
Yeah, that we had talked a little bit about, like creating some relief or something, so that you give at least a visual image of, dimension, a little bit,
So I think then our next submission.
right, shadowing, and that would happen then naturally, and that I think would break up that, just that flat, big
Exactly.
flat surface that's gonna,
Yes.
like, I think personally, it should, like, right in the face.
Yeah. Maybe a lot there.
Yeah. Another thing we had discussed at our meeting, and I sent you the deed for 609, 611 Broadway. We talked about it a little bit last month, about working with the adjacent property owners to respect, not only their buildings, but their spaces. And what we found was, it looks like they do have an easement on Martin's Lane.
Yeah.
As access to their rear parking. So with the conversion of that now to a pedestrian way, so to speak, that access goes away. So they would, I don't know if you've given any thought to how you work with them to give them access to their rear parking.
Yeah, we actually did have our legal team look into those, so I did have that deed, and there is some issues that we can have the legal team talk about with that easement, and whether it's actually executed correctly or not. But regardless, we are talking to the applicant about access to that site, but I think what the conversation is, and so I guess what I have been looking for was the approved site plan, so that is approved,
Right.
parking back there? Oh, we didn't get
Well,
confirmation of that.
no, we don't, there wasn't really any parking layout back there, but it was submitted as part of that they had that access. It had previously been used as just access and parking, so there wasn't any real formal.
Yeah, so we're having conversations with that property owner about whether it can be parking or whether it's trash and refuse and emergency services and what will work for the site. So we're in the conversation with them.
Good.
But I think a new easement is going to need to be executed. That's properly executed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you mentioned art earlier, so when you were talking about meeting with the mayor, that was for the courtyard. Is this the actual piece that's going to be on the building, or is it just
No.
showing that there's gonna be a piece? Is there, who decides what art goes up? Is it the owner of the project? Is it the city? Is who?
It would be the property owner.
The property owner would
Yeah.
choose.
Does our new code have any type of filter for that?
The public, it's, no, the policy, the policy that the city recently adopted is a public art policy, but it's for art in public places. It doesn't deal with private, it
But
doesn't
is
deal
there
with
anything in the
private.
code that if somebody has a big brick wall, they can just paint anything they want on it?
No.
As long as it's not a sign, I'm sure.
That's a big public wall.
That's
And if somebody wants to come up with a political sign or any type of sign, can they do that? Like, what's the
If
difference?
it's, no, signage that's what
Well,
you're saying, I mean.
art.
Art, if it's
It's
art,
subject
there's
to
no,
interpretation.
we don't have a review authority on the art,
We don't have anything in the code regarding size or dimensions or anything.
not for art, no.
In previous
No.
projects that you've done, what has been your process of selecting art
Hurley
that
Ave.
goes on these types
That's
of?
the art on Hurley Ave.
Yeah, I mean,
Spaces.
I think we very much intend to lean on the arts community that's already really focused on this building in this
Yeah.
space, right? I don't know if we have intent to.
I mean, no, I mean, these are early days, but we've been talking with the local arts community, the Midtown Arts District about
We did.
what programming is gonna happen in the plaza as well as some of the exterior girls.
There's
So we
something
want
like
to
what
make
you've
sure.
done with like the Poughkeepsie project and stuff like that, is to, did you have space that was like this in any of the other projects?
Yeah, there is a, on the academy down in Poughkeepsie, that is kind of a similar mix building. There are murals on that, and they were selected from grants. I don't think Poughkeepsie doesn't have they had an arts commission that I think you don't have authority to approve or deny, but I think they were consulted.
Got it.
Yes. So the conversation was had, but yeah, in the same way, that a lot of people don't want to regulate public art, because then you start to get into the eye of the beholder, you know, so I think you'll find commissions that way in that don't usually approve or deny something. But we'd be happy to, like I said, we're happy to work with, we already have an involved arts community that cares about this site and this building, so we're happy to work with them.
In the historic district, the HLPC would have some oversight on the
We're not
but
in
not
that.
content, really, no.
We're not really in district.
No, this is not a historic district, no.
So as we move towards a public hearing of this, I'm sure you're gonna have a presentation again for the public.
Yeah, I can start again and kind of go.
So, I mean, these renderings are nice, but I think that having what it looks like from different angles and at different times of the day and night would maybe help, you know,
Yeah.
give us an idea of what it looks like in the public as well. So if that's something you've already considered, I mean, if not,
I
maybe.
think too, if you actually Photoshop in the existing, like at the corner here, obviously there's buildings right in front of that, and to have those Photoshopped into the view, as an alternative view would be helpful, because that's what you're gonna see, and this is nice, but it's not the reality of the situation. For the parking, I know we had talked a little bit about looking at actual, like, looking at the existing conditions of the lots. Because your statement, says that, you know, because of available on-street parking and available parking within the public lots nearby. But we wanted you to really take a hard look at those and really determine availability, but also look at some of the, adjacent project sites like the Energy Square project site. Have you started any of that work?
Yeah, we're gonna have to do utilization counts ourselves.
Okay.
Parking division did not have that information, and then the other building that we're gonna look at was anecdotal, so we'll
Okay, great.
collect actual information at different times of day to show what their utilization rate is and kind of talk about how that relates to our project. Absolutely.
And we do have I had some questions about like internal circulation, I know that like, obviously with a lot of these projects, you have residential, a lot of residential use. You're gonna have deliveries like FedEx, UPS, and so it was just how, are they gonna be allowed to enter from Cedar Street? And is there gonna be like a kind of a delivery space in that area for things like that? And also your businesses that are on Broadway, obviously can take deliveries from the Broadway side, but businesses that front into that courtyard area, you know, how are they gonna get deliveries? And so those are some questions we threw in the notes now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we do, we can show maybe turning radius in the back, because we do have to get, if you look at the site plan, we do have to get a dump truck back there, a trash vehicle back there, right? As well as potentially some deliveries, but I think very much the intent of this will be for deliveries to be coming off of Broadway. As we talked about, and what you see in many urban areas when you're asking for full
Yeah.
use of a site, navigating larger vehicles onto this. So I think timing of deliveries, early morning, late at night, when those spaces. And right now there are curb cuts, right in front of this that will be closed, so that's kind of gained back, I think, sidewalk space here, so I don't know if there's a nearby loading area. I don't know if that's something that's, you know, the same way that you're talking about the city coordinating ADA spaces, what I see some municipalities do is coordinate loading, unloading areas on busy commercial corridors, so we can take a look to see if anything like that exists. Otherwise, we can talk about that kind of being integrated in the front of this as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, you know, you're a resident in the back end of the, you know, the structure there, and everybody's ordering online now, Amazon is delivering all over the place, so if an Amazon truck were to go there, they would pull in off of Cedar Street presumably, and then there's gonna be like a receiving mail room, so to speak, maybe in that building, I'm presuming.
Yeah, we can, for deliveries and mail, I think the intent was that for them to come through the back, because those aren't necessarily larger trucks. But we can put that into like a management memo. Absolutely.
Board have any questions for them? Do you want to just show the lighting? I wanted to, they have worked on the lighting. I've started to take a look at the levels are all, I think, consistent with our code.
You want the fixtures or the?
Yeah, the fixture types. So these are the fixture types that they're looking at. The one question, I haven't completed my lighting review yet, but one of the questions I was looking at was where the different types of lights are located on the site, and then I was trying to visualize how they are used. So I looked at the Broadway facade, and I see that you've got spotlights showing at the front, but then I look at your elevation and you have signage that's longer, and the two aren't meshing in my mind. So I wanted to.
The spots are for the blade signs.
Huh?
The spots are for the blade signs, perpendicular signs.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
there's one on either side.
Okay,
Two of them.
then that makes sense. Okay, so then for the wall mounted signs, are you planning that that you had what did you call, a linear, I think, type of light? Is that what's coming in? Because that's not shown on the plan, the lighting plan. I don't see it.
Okay.
Maybe I missed
Those are on the back,
it.
those are on the courtyard side. for the signs
Right,
there.
but not on the Broadway side.
Right.
Okay.
No, you're
So-
right about that there.
Okay, all right.
Under development.
So, all right, just wanted to double check that. But I don't know if anybody has any comment on the type or style of lights that are being provided. Obviously, dark sky lighting is what they're looking for. Any questions, thoughts?
So with the security of it, and you probably already talked about this at the last meeting. The gates that will be locked after hours. I mean, during normal operation, will folks be able to just do a cut through to go over to, how does that all work?
So folks who are living in the building would be able to enter through Broadway, go through the courtyard and go through the residential lobby into kind of the buildings. Like, it is one building, but it looks like a tower 1 and a tower 2 because we played with the heights so much,
They've got
right?
badges, right?
But
For
probably fob, maybe like a fob key so they can come in through, or if they're parking in the rear, there's a residential lobby from the back. And then, yes, all commercial patrons would be expected to kind of walk in through the courtyard.
So in terms of emergency access, and the fire chief is here, he hasn't completed his review yet, but one of his questions was how emergency vehicles would have access to the site. And, obviously, the concern is being able to get there and address whatever issues. So from the front, that is not going to be regular vehicle access, but for an emergency vehicle, they'll be able to get through there? It'll be wide enough for them to access in any case that they might need. Okay.
And then we'll also keep Martin's Lane. Remember, Martin's Lane is kind of the main access to the rear of the site off of Cedar now. I think it's only 9.5 feet, 9.5, 10 feet wide.
Right.
So wasn't sufficient for our circulation, which is why we're working with Salvation Army to kind of use theirs. But we're planning to kind of only do like light landscaping of that or cleanup of that so that that could be mostly pedestrian access or emergency services.
So I would have something like on the end with a post that would not.
So that you're not driving in there,
Move the post
yeah.
and they could come in, yes.
Yeah.
In the front there, coming off the front, you jump in the curb? Is that what you gotta do?
That's
Jump
what
the curb?
that's what we're thinking about.
Yeah, our vehicles aren't very well at jumping curbs.
Okay.
We did talk to developers from Kixtonian, and they did offer us a 45-degree cut curb.
Okay, yeah.
That would make it easier if we had to. I mean, what is the width between the buildings there?
It's like 14 feet. Yeah.
It's-
So that's, so a
It's stability,
45.
what's gonna be underground, what's gonna be on the underground, the stability of the ground itself.
Right.
There's not light coming.
No, yeah, there's nothing under there.
Yeah.
Just, there's no basement or anything, if that's your question.
No, not a basement, but just the ground itself isn't solid enough for,
And it's gonna be all concrete, heavy duty concrete.
I mean, yeah, this is gonna be a paved plaza, so we'll have
Still have some base to
But
it.
it is the intent that there's emergency access through there. So if we need to make a special curb or we need to have a reinforced slab, by all means, that's the intent there. That you can get in from that side.
Yeah, I mean, this was originally the driveway access, exit from the building, right, before you guys haven't seen that version, but before we had Salvation Army chatting with us, we were coming in off of Martin's Lane, coming off here. The city housing division specifically asked us to close the curb cuts on Broadway, because of the renovations that happened under that street, but I think partial, so that was the intent, and that's why that space is kind of there, so.
So are you expecting to drive a fire truck through there or just an ambulance?
If need be, accessibility to that building in the back for a ladder truck, I mean, it's 5 stories, we have to get the
So
ladder.
then you've got to design your courtyard, your pavers and your subbase to support a so many ton ladder truck.
We're following the code, yep. So whatever's.
No, we'll get you the numbers for all that, but that is my thing is, we don't do well jumping a curb. 45 degrees, we'll take that. The ladder truck doesn't go off the pavement or concrete. So we need to, again, it's the subbase of the road itself would be important also.
Okay. Just as far as refuse, area and recyclable, there is, it looks like it's a relatively very small area. And we talked about, how that could accommodate all of the uses, so they're looking at compaction, of refuse, and I don't know if you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Baxter uses Royal Carting, and many other developments, so we've been having conversations with them about how many yard width, dumpsters we would need back there. And then it kind of really depends on they have no concern about meeting our residential needs in terms of what we could fit there with 2-3 time pickup a week. It's all gonna depend on the commercial tenants and who ends up going in there. If you start getting food and beverage folks, then that's a lot more waste, and so then we would have to, then that's when we start having to like do the compaction, and think about using those kinds of techniques on site to, infill development is always very fun and a huge puzzle piece game of getting everything to fit in there, so we run into that issue before with refuse, so we started the conversation early with Royal, and we'll continue as we kind of evolve through and hopefully get to the point of getting tenants. Yeah, but we can, again, I think the management memo just keeps getting longer and longer, but I can add refuse management to that as well.
Like I said, we will get you the staff notes. I don't know if any other board members want to ask any questions or provide any thoughts. The intent is for them to be back in front of you in September with a full complete application. It will be a public hearing, and I don't know if the board wants to set up a site visit to the project site. It might be a good idea to get, just walk around the site itself, look at the adjacent properties, get a feel for it physically, before the September meeting, or we could try and do something after. But those would be the questions that I have for you tonight as a board.
My only question, which really wasn't answered, but I don't know if it was the management, is just if our code is silent on the art and we're putting art on the side of the building, is that something that's dealt with your management so that if something went up and you're not happy with it or it becomes a major problem, that you as a property owner can take it down? Like, I don't know what agreements you have with the artists when they come in, because I know there's a lot of case law on that and it's an issue.
It's usually worked out one-on-one depending on the, like every artist.
But I guess the question is, in your management, are you gonna retain full authority to be able to remove any installations or art or whatever you want to do within this particular development if it becomes a hot button or controversial issue?
Yeah, I mean, that's usually how you try to enter the negotiations when it first, but, I think we would like to we're definitely going to know what's going up before it goes up. I think where it usually comes into the fine print within the contract is maintenance, right? I see a lot of murals that if they aren't done correctly. Maintenance removed, right? If it starts to look not as good as it did when it was first put up, at what point does it come down, or does another mural get put up?
And also sometimes you have a particular interpretation of an artwork, but once it goes up, it becomes a more of a problematic interpretation that one may not have expected. And therefore, how is it dealt with as property owner? Do you retain the full authority to reverse it or remove it? Like, I'm just kind of interested in how that's happening, only because your side of the building is so prominent.
Yeah, I would ask, I don't know, what does the city have them do for all the other murals around Kingston? I think our property owner, or Baxter, has experience with murals going up on many of their buildings. We've never encountered the situation that we're discussing here, where something was to go up and became extremely controversial. That would be a very unique situation, I think.
The city's had a really, I think, a very good, in the past few years, very good relationship, working with the organizers of the Old Positive Festival. And there's been a lot of, changes that, you learn as you grow. And, on how, even as simple as how the materials are applied to some of the older buildings so that they don't damage, so that the paint products don't damage the mortar or ruin the brick, because they, so there's material choices that have changed. Right, exactly. Over the years. And they're typically, those are up for about 3 years. I think they run for 3-year terms. That's what their agreements are. And then the property owners, can do what they want. So it's upfront. There's agreements with each one. In the historic districts, the HLPC reviews all the murals. But, like I said, the organizers of the Old Positive Festival obviously recognize sensitivity to various issues. And, they've dealt with, people not appreciating some of the artwork, and it's getting, vandalized by graffiti artists or whomever. And they deal with that. I think it's working out okay so far. We've been able to have a good relationship. I don't think anybody's gonna intentionally put anything up that's gonna be extremely offensive on the side of their building.
No, I mean,
Private property. or
yeah, and the Academy of
do
Divinity
that.
has flowers, it's flowers, so, you know, like, it's colorful. But yeah, like I said, I think we're very sensitive to that, and we're working with the arts community, but, art is art, you know?
I think that, I'd just say like, this is the Midtown Arts District, and so from the very beginning, the intention was to make this a place for cultural happenings, cultural installations, cultural programming. That was part of the RFP that the city put out, and that's part of our response, and so whatever the artists that are gonna be painting the walls, the surfaces, wherever, I would say, I mean, I'm not gonna, maybe I'll speak for the owner, like, it's 100%, we need to work with the O-Positive people, with the Arts District people, with the, with Deep Listening Plaza people, like, this is all, the point is to be completely collaborative and open to this, and I think that is totally supportive of that. Me, because this is the arts, the Midtown Arts District, that's just kind of the whole gist, yeah.
We talked about a gateway meeting too?
Sorry?
A gateway meeting with the county?
Yeah, we didn't. One of the county, planning board, their office, sometimes has what they call the gateway meetings, with the county planning staff, and it's an informal meeting, prior to the official submission for the county, review.
Yeah.
And, it's typically attended by the applicants, staff from the city will attend it, and the county planning board, or county planner, or a couple of his staff people will do it. And they actually reached out to ask if you would be interested. We said that we would ask you. Okay, so we will, Kyla and I will reach out to them and you, and we'll kind of coordinate a date for that, Wayne.
That most likely August, probably would be.
Yeah, probably in August.
Okay.
Yeah, try and do it sooner.
Just help us get ahead of the 239 review. and
Yes.
comments. That would actually
Yep.
have to
Yeah,
do
so
that.
then you kind of have a feel for where they're going.
Yeah, yeah,
Their
that's
thoughts.
helpful.
All right? So
Is that- is that
it's always
Dennis?
works out good.
Is that Dennis Doyle?
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
What's the thought on the site visit? Does the board want to try and do it before our September meeting? Want to organize something before or after the September meeting?
I think it's better to do it before.
Before?
Well, I think that it saves time.
Okay. And Chris will also open it up, you know, that site meeting, I'll also send it to you and the other departments as well, so if they want to join the board
Yeah, and
members.
as soon as we get the plans, you know, like what the makeup of the inside's gonna be, what the sprinkler system's gonna be,
Okay.
standpipes and so forth. You know, we've got everything.
Okay,
Because I believe, Sue, that this is gonna turn into very similar to the Golden Hill.
Yeah.
Because we don't have one
Yes.
access, have one access inside of one building.
okay,
So these ladders cannot reach Henry Street over top of the houses to get to that back building.
yeah, okay.
So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
The table.
Proper, with a motion to table, second of the Matt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, everybody.
Item 10 is, we're still in a discussion, 80 Smith Avenue. Site plan to establish an art center with collection, production, presentation, outdoor garden and events. Second lot is 48.82-1-9, secret determination. Transaction C5F, Ward 5, Yaya Enterprises LLC is the applicant owner. Hi. Can you state your names for the record, please?
Lori DiPiero.
Nice to see you. All right, so this is the old bank slash, then there was a bottling redemption center, and now it's kind of just sitting there, right? Okay. So, tell us what you're, we're gonna have pictures too for that?
Well, we.
It's coming.
Just your site plan.
Oh, okay, so pretty much we've been running Art Court Kingston, which is in the Cornell Steamboat Building, right on 108 Strand, next to Old Savannah. We've been running that for 4 years. We have absolutely no idea what the future will be with the whole development and the waterfront, whatever, so we're collaborating with people.
So this is actually moving from the waterfront to this site, or are you gonna have both sides?
We're gonna have both.
Okay.
I mean, it's like phase -1. I mean, we're really, it's just having the site there and trying to activate it with art, not doing anything to the building. Or, because it's the building and then there's the big parking lot that's all around it and it's fenced in the back. We've done absolutely nothing to the property except for cutting landscape, trimming things down. We don't initially, in phase 1, we don't want to do anything to the building. We feel like art will activate the building, so it's just really opening the doors and turning it into an art center. We do with the whole outdoor courtyard, we would like to have temporary artworks that would be there, like sculptures, maybe lots of like landscape, just making it prettier than what it is. I mean, it looks kind of not cared for.
So are you gonna be like cleaning up that landscaping that's there, and that sign is, I presume the sign's going?
Yes.
And are you gonna put, are you planning any new signage, or are you just
something
gonna
that says
just kind
Art
of
Court
leave it?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be in the same location,
Okay.
but trimmed, so you can actually see what it says. And so you can see where there's the fenced-in area in the back, and that with the bottling company, they had all the bottles stored there, so we cleared all of that out. They had a bunch of semi-trucks that were filled with bottles, and there was broken glass. I mean, it was just, so we've done sort of an initial cleaning, incredible, and we did it deeply.
Okay.
So it's pretty much, I mean, we really do want to do all the landscaping, and the idea is to just sort of, because what happens is everyone in the neighborhood just sort of walks through it. I mean, there's homeless people that live in the bushes and stuff like that, so it's really about, yeah. So we wanted, I mean, after phase 1, after we get some funding to be able to do stuff, we'd like to sort of close the perimeter so that it becomes more of a courtyard area that would be open to the public for a certain amount of hours during the day, and then closed up so it's safe. And from just hearing this, we might just do something more with like evergreens, or Rosa Sharon was suggested, just so that you feel as though there's the border. And so we're not constructing anything at this point.
Has the building department been able to get inside the building with you? We did ask them to try and get in touch with you to do an internal inspection. We were, we haven't gotten anything from them, usually after they're done. Okay, so you want to do that. You want to reach out to them and make sure you get them inside so that they can, start to just give you an evaluation on that.
Is there a rapid large hole in the floor there too, inside? No?
No. I mean, there's a safe in the back, which is just an open door, and we've actually been in touch with the guy who installed the safe, so if we want to take it out, it's easy. Yeah, so I mean, at this point, it's really just trying to activate it in a very, very low level, like not doing much besides making it really nice, because it's completely an eyesore at this point.
We do have some staff notes that we'll forward to you with a series of questions in them. Are you working with any particular design professional, architect that, to look at the property and look at the building?
At this point, we are just in discussion, like we're trying to figure out who we want to work with. We've had people come in and look at it and say, It is, but we haven't done
Because
anything.
one of the things that most of the applications come through with is what we call code compliance review. And when I say code compliance, in this case, it's a code compliance for the zoning code, for the transect code. It specifies site design, landscaping, lighting, things of that nature, the use. In this case, you obviously, it seems like you've got much more asphalt parking than you really need. So, you know, how that space is
And that's
gonna be
why-
potentially repurposed, and I think you said, like, you're looking to establish an outdoor sculpture garden, maybe. Yeah, I think in your application, you spoke to maybe having a little outdoor market or
Yeah, I mean,
spaces.
We've talked to a couple of, like, on occasion, if we were thinking to do an event, like a one-night film screening or something, to invite food trucks to come, they would be there for like 2 or 3 hours and then leave. Nothing permanent. I mean, everything, all the events that we do are just really 2 to 3 hours. And so if we did a workshop, like a children's workshop, we want to do stuff a lot with the community and do educational programming and really do as much as we can to activate the art happenings. I mean, the concern with doing murals, I'm not, it's like, it really would be temporary sculptures. So an artist would come in and do something that would be there for a period of time. We did that along the waterfront on the Strand where we had Art Stream, which was temporary artworks that were like an hour to, like they were installed and then they sort of dissipated, or it would be for a couple of months.
Okay.
So I don't want to do anything
So
permanent.
within the building, there's artist space within the building where they're creating inside, or is that gonna be like gallery, exhibit
Galleries.
space?
Galleries.
Okay, all right.
So it would just be people coming in, and at the moment, we have our spaces open from 12 to 5,
Okay.
Saturdays and Sundays, and that's it.
Okay.
And then just for like the occasion if there's an event.
So again, you kind of heard some of the discussions going on before about ADA code compliance and accessibility and just making, you know, so you're professional, your design professional, make sure that, you know, the doors are wide enough, that the access is suitable. In this case, it's on grade pretty much, so I don't think that's an issue here. But internally, you know, that your bathroom, you know, the public restroom or whatever.
I don't think we're gonna have a public bathroom per se.
Okay.
Because we
But I
don't have one now.
think your restroom, even for your employee or your, you know, your personnel needs to be then ADA accessible. Okay, so, and those are the kinds of things that the architect would know, all right? Would be able to, you know, produce for you. So those are what we will be looking for, all right?
And you talked about sculptures being displayed out here too. Will the sculptures be actively worked upon this site, or they just worked up from
No,
some
they
other
would
place
be
right here?
delivered, they would be fabricated somewhere else, and delivered to the site.
It might be assembled on site, but not manufactured on site.
Okay.
I do want to, I mean, the one thing that is interesting is the site is T5, so it does, I mean, it could be fabricated there. I mean, we don't have that ability to do that, but with the new zoning, it is commercial, residential, low industrial, it kind of.
Yeah, it's your T5 flex, which is probably one of the most, yeah.
I mean, we're gonna use it for what we know how what to do.
You did mention, I think, in your application, but it was a longer term vision for housing, and that's not part of this. So just so you're aware that when you get to that phase, obviously you would need to come back. So
Oh, no.
whatever we would approve, probably like phase 1 and 2 at this point would be what we would be looking at. And then you would come back in and we would review whatever modifications or new additions.
I'm all for having dreams.
No, I think that's really appropriate. It's very appropriate. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with
I
it.
mean, it's just a big empty parking lot.
Yeah.
It needs lots of love and attention, so that's our goal. And it's very unfortunate right now with so many people just walking through and people parking and dumping garbage, and I just feel like I'm constantly following behind people doing that, so like, if anything that we would like to do is to sort of construct something that's temporary, probably with landscaping, so. And I don't know if that's like, do I do we get approval from here? Like, how do, what's
Yeah,
the-
that,
I
you
didn't
can, you
really
can,
know.
as part of maybe your first phase, you design, again, fencing along the street, limit is low, it's not,
That's why landscaping seems
in
to
this particular case, if you're gonna be doing sculptures on the inside, fencing might not be the most appropriate, because it creates a visual barrier. Low landscaping, maybe interspersed with some other varieties along, the street edge might be a more appropriate way to go.
So what is the process from this point forward?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you we'll send you our staff notes, okay, that you can start working off of. And, because the application at this stage is not what we call complete. In other words, all of the components that are required before a formal submission are not incorporated. So we've outlined, a series of questions and comments for you to start working on and addressing. The board does not meet in August, so it's just every year, they just take that month off. So September is our next meeting. And the due date is, I want to say, August 28th. Don't quote me on that.
I have that paper, I can.
Yeah, but anyway, so we would, you have some time, in between, start working on what we'll give you. Certainly, don't wait till that date to make the submission. Call us, Kyla or me, we're available, we can talk to you about, what your submission is. And, we'll go over it with you, sit down with you, and, we can go from there. But I want to get you back on for the September meeting. I want to make sure that you're complete enough.
And how, once we do what we're supposed to do, then you do another meeting, you present, all the other people. How many meetings do you have until?
This would, I would say maybe one, maybe two.
There is.
Okay? I'm trying to make it painless.
I love this process. It's kind of fun.
Does the board have any questions? Any comments?
It's a large piece.
Very exciting.
It's gonna be nice to see them looking forward to see this place get cleaned up.
Me too. It is a nice
It's,
one.
it's long overdue. That if you could provide some, security there so that folks aren't just cutting through. You talked about the problem of vagrancy and,
Oh, yeah, I know at one point someone was inside the building and hanging out having beers and they were just. Oh my. Yeah. That was the very, very beginning, so dealt with that, but yeah.
So you're looking for grants, is that what you're right now?
I mean, we just became a nonprofit.
Okay.
6 months ago, so now we're looking for grants and collaborators, and we just want to work with a lot of the arts institutions here, since we've been existing for the last 20 years doing art projects. So we sort of have, and we've done a lot of public art, and so we know what we're doing in terms of the art stuff, and now it's just a matter of really developing it. So everyone in Kingston is happy, and we're happy, and we can provide one for the artists, so that's kind of the agenda. And trying to do what we've done at Artport and transform that area, and also with the artwork along the waterfront, so I think we're gonna do some tracker.
Great.
Brett's amazing.
We know Brett.
Good. Any other questions? All right, at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 10. Robert Jacobson with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
See you in September.
Good seeing you, Brennan.
So long.
All right, we gotta go back to item number 4. Under old business, it's 73-75 Furnace Street, special permit renewal to operate four-room boarding house. Section block lot is 56.92-4-42. Seeking determination, transect zone T4N-0, it's in Ward 4, And Lyndon Peters is the applicant owner. The applicant owner has not appeared tonight. There are some circumstances, not for it not being here, but
April, I believe it was, last. At that time, his special permit was up for renewal. We recognized there were several violations that, were pre-existing. Those violations have yet to be corrected. The building department has been there to do re-inspections. We talked with him about his ability to complete address the violations. If you recall, rather than making him come back the next month after month, he said he would be able to do everything within the 3-month time, which brings up the July date. Nothing has been done. No permits have been applied for, my understanding, and their violation notices are, we have a copy of them there, Wayne.
yeah, so number of them.
There is evidence of people living in there, that he has done work without permits. The building has been posted by the building department, but that does not seem to register. So at this point, we are recommending denial based on a variety of reasons.
If anybody wants to take a look at these.
So just so that everyone's clear, we'll need to go through the conditions that were imposed on the original permit. So the board can only deny a renewal of a permit. Basically, if you determine that the conditions of the previous permit have not been or are no longer being complied with, and as Sue had previously stated, we've given him 90 days after there were certain violations and certain other conditions that he was not complying with. We correct that under our code, basically 60 days to come into full compliance prior to revoking permit. So that's something that the board should make a record of. Probably would be useful to go through what those conditions were and note his non-compliance with those conditions, as well as that the period of 60 days has been in excess of that period of 60 days, and he still has not come into compliance with the conditions that were put into effect with the first permit.
These are all the conditions right here.
So the original decision is listed in your staff notes. And as Matt was saying, in addition to that, at the April meeting, you had requested him to submit a timeline to complete and close out by March 27th, but that was never submitted, so that would be in addition to the requested information.
So I can go through item by item here, and then I'll ask, I mean, I know we have documentation being circulated around that from building department, noting a number of violations, but when we go through item by item, you can speak to whether those conditions are met or not, correct? From the staff level? Can you do that? It would be, okay. All right, so the decision, the planning board voted unanimously to render the action a type 2 under seeker and to approve the site plan / special permit for a 400 square foot ground floor barber shop / salon, ground floor personal.
This goes to the February 23 decision. Okay.
Because it expired within 1 year on February 24.
Right.
Okay. So this is from February 2023. So it's got the 400 square foot ground floor barber shop / salon, ground floor personal storage for the owner, and a 4-room boarding house on the second floor for a period of 1 year, expiring on February 21st, 2024, with the following conditions. One, proposed signage will be submitted to the planning office prior to installation to confirm that it meets the zoning code requirements. That was not submitted, correct?
No.
Two is compliance with section 405-12B, parens 2, listing requirements for rooming/boarding houses as well as signature statement verifying compliance. Was that?
Just a quick question, Matt, that was issued prior to the new zoning code. How do we address that? Because that section is not in.
No longer involved in those requirements. I'm pretty sure weren't they, were being transmitted, but either way.
Right, that was from the prior zoning code. Now we have the new codes to do. He didn't do it for the old code, so.
But he didn't do it for
we
the old
address
code
that
or the new.
Has he submitted anything that's
No.
complying with the listing requirements on either?
No. So we address it that way. Okay.
So he's not in compliance with that.
Correct.
Correct.
Item 3 is address code compliance issue with the building safety division. That was not met, correct?
No.
And those are some of the items that are being.
Currently, there's how many code violations?
How many?
What we circulated?
I don't know the number exactly. There's a variety of.
I'll just give the dates of when the violation notices were issued. And
There was one February 9th.
April.
There was one, I think, on March. It might be out of
2
order.
seconds.
Yeah. This is a.
So there was on April 22nd, 2014, and it's my understanding, and their understanding as well, Sue, that they have not come into compliance with the violations that they were noticed on that date.
What date?
April 22nd, 2024.
Right.
There was the one that was previously mentioned by Sue on February 9th, 2024, and it's my understanding they have not come into compliance with what they were cited for in those violations as well.
And there's a March 25th.
There's March 25th, 2024.
Okay. All right, moving on to item number 4, register with the building safety division under landlord registration. Is that completed?
Not to my knowledge, no.
5 is obtain required permits from the New York State/Ulster County Health Department as needed. Submit documentation to the planning office for the
Not
record.
received.
Not received. 6, no other changes in occupancy and use without review and approval.
We don't know because he hasn't submitted anything.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't submitted anything new, so.
Item 7, board policies. As part of any decision, the board should attach the following board policies to the project. Numbers 4 and 4A, which is lighting. Number 6, to comply with plans. 7 and 7A, time to address conditions. Number 10 is banners, flags, etc. prohibited. Number 11, signage and windows limited. Number 12, dumpsters if needed. 13 is updated contact info. 14 is dig safely. 15 is zoning analysis. 16, rooming/boarding house sign statement. 19 is noise ordinance. 22 is carbon monoxide detectors. 25 is Knox box, may be combined for both properties. And number 26, a building permit. So he did not comply with a number of these, correct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
We didn't-
like, some of them are after they are, he's functioning, so, but the building permits, he has not applied for. I doubt that there are CO2 detectors. I don't believe he's got a Knox box on there. He didn't submit the rooming boarding house statement. He hasn't given us a zoning analysis of compliance. Yeah, I mean, lighting, we haven't received any lighting plan. So I would say,
All right, so it appears that he is, I mean, he's not here tonight to speak to these items, and so we have
well,
quite a bit of
then
evidence.
you have
to-
the other issue that you requested when you reviewed this in April, when he was present. No, wait, you reviewed this in March, when he was present, and he was supposed to give you a timeline to complete and close out the project by March 27th, so that has not been submitted either.
You can make a finding based on everything that was cited, that, that the original conditions that were prescribed by the board, with the original permit have not been complied with. And as a result, you are revoking and not renewing the said permit.
And then we're also noting the violation letters on it, the letters that were sent out, correct, on this, the conditions?
Yeah, well, that's number 3, the building safety did issue those 3 notices, and they're listed here.
But you don't have to read this right now in the record, this is all part of.
It's part of your
Yeah,
discussion.
so based on non-compliance with the conditions that were set forth at the April meeting that he was here last,
Well, set forth in the original permit issued in February.
February of 2023, and current violations that exist, I'll make a motion that we deny the.
And he's failed to meet the building, he's failed to respond to it, right?
Yes. And that's part of the documentation there too.
Those are violations, but they've also, he has not responded to
Right.
staff inquiries or.
And there's a letter in there that speaks to that as well, so. So
That's gotta be in your findings, that there's been no contact with the building department or the planning department. Or any responses given.
Okay, so I'll send the contact.
He specifically has failed to respond to numerous notices by 2 departments.
everybody's comfortable with that? Okay. So at this time, I'll make a motion that we deny the special permit renewal for item number 4 based on what we've just discussed.
Does he need to make a mention of the ability to remedy within a certain number of days in that motion?
It was part of the discussion. I don't think necessarily, but that you guys did mention in the discussion that you gave him, what was the date, April? 90 days to
Yep.
correct these deficiencies, and as of this date.
It's allowed in 90-day original notice.
Yeah. All right, that's a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Any other business before the board? Motion by Robert Jacobson to adjourn. Who's got a second on that? Gillis? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Thank you, folks. Enjoy the rest of your summer.
See you in September.
Yeah.
So,
So now, this should be good.